Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are around the world, and a huge welcome to the next instalment of the UK Festival, which brings us to accommodation partners Fresh Living. Now, we are going to hear about what makes their properties so good in cities such as Liverpool and Newcastle, as well as other cities that they focus on as well. But before we go any further, a reminder that this is a live session. If you've got any questions, any concerns, please put it in the Q&A or chat facility at the top or bottom of your screen. And likewise, if you're on social media at the moment, I know there's many of you watching on LinkedIn and Facebook Live, please head over to the messenger facility and we'll try and come back to you as soon as possible. So without keeping you waiting too much longer, I'd like to hand you over to Scott, who he has properties available in Liverpool. He's going to be talking to you about what makes their property so great and how you can go about applying. Over to you, Scott.
Thank you very much, Gareth. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through various things regarding Fresh Property itself. We'll also be looking into one of our big programs, which is the B program, and then from there we'll have a Q&A at the end of it, as Gareth mentioned. So, with regards to myself, I am the general manager for one of our flagship sites in Liverpool, called Benson Yard, and I'm also joined by Danielle, who is the general manager over at Hanover Square in Newcastle. So we'll have a quick look at, first of all, what we believe is vastly important to what we offer in Fresh, and it's one of our missions to make students feel like they belong. They have a sense of community, a home from home. As you can see from our CEO, Jane Crouch, we're a big believer in making sure that our students feel like whilst they are away from their natural home, they have a second one with us. So 95% of our residents love living with Fresh and would recommend us to a friend. So we place a big value on our rebookers, making sure that they want to stay with us year in, year out. And the fact that 95% of our residents would recommend us to a friend is a big, big plus for us. We also go on every year to the Global Student Living Index, which is a survey which is completed by our students and students around other communities. And we get their data and we analyse their data and see what makes them tick. So we also have 74% of our residents who feel their residence team really care about their well-being. So that sense of community that we look to bring, we hopefully, with 74% of our students definitely saying that we care, we have a real focus and a real drive to make sure that sense of community really is prominent in a student's mind. In terms of locations around the UK and Ireland, we have over 60 locations. Now, wherever you are, in whichever city, you will probably find a Fresh site. If you go into places such as Liverpool, we have multiple sites in that city. So for example, again, Liverpool, we have Benson Yard, Calico, we have Europa, and we have the Lantern as well. So wherever you are in the UK, you will probably bump into a Fresh site. In terms of the actual rooms themselves, all our rooms are spacious. They are all en suite as well. Now, every single room that we have here at Benson Yard, in terms of being a studio, all our studios can be dual occupant as well. So again, plenty of space if you do have somebody living with you. In terms of our en-suite rooms, again, variety of sizes, all en suite, and then you have a shared kitchen as well. So quite a bit of variety through each site. The vast majority will have studios and a mixture of en suites as well. In terms of our study areas, so for example, here at Benson Yard, we have 3 study areas that you can specifically book out in a large meeting room, large table and facilities, and that you were able to book out for your friends, not necessarily just from your own site, but you can welcome in friends from other sites as well. Now, in terms of your social spaces, majority of sites have a really, really strong social aspect to their buildings, where we actually actively put on events and we utilize these social spaces through various events such as Diwali, Eid, the lunar moon. A wide variety of cultures, religions are all catered for. We put a massive emphasis on what we can actually utilize these spaces for. Now, for example, in Onyx, they have rooftop study pods where you actually have a fantastic view across the city. So that combination, along with the fact that you're so high up, just gives that little bit something different, which we value, which we massively value in Fresh. The social spaces here at Benson Yard, for example, we have a Sky Lounge, which you're able to book out. Again, for friends, we also have a private dining room as well. So that sense of community and bringing people together and breaking bread, as many people would say, then that is what we focus on. That private dining and the Sky Lounge are bookable, and then we have a games room, and we have table tennis, we have pool, we also have a gym as well. So that sense of keeping yourself fit and healthy linked into that community again. In terms of our residents team, myself as a general manager and my team, I place a massive emphasis on having an open door policy within our site. We have a huge emphasis on communication between both ourselves and the student, and it's very much a two-way thing. We want them to feel comfortable coming in and seeing us about any issues, whether it be the logistics of their tenancy, whether it be community, whether it be issues at home or with university. We have a resident Aggie Nayan at Benson Yard as well, and all the students go to her. So that sense of real understanding and open communication is what we really emphasize within our site teams. We also have mental health trained general managers, myself included, where we try to utilize our training and spot if somebody is having an issue within our building, and we will try our best to make sure they get the help that they need. In terms of the overall package of what we offer at Fresh, all your bills are included with us, and so it goes from Wi-Fi right through to water, electricity, etc. And then most of our sites will have 24-hour security. Actually, all of our sites have 24-hour security. For example, at Benson Yard, our offices are open right through every single day, 7 days a week. Evenings and weekends, we have an on-site security guard as well. In terms of locations, like I mentioned previously, in a lot of cities, we have multiple sites. So you have a wide selection of choice. But in terms of those buildings themselves, vast majority are in cities, in the middle of the cities. So most things are very close by. Mentioned before about the quiet studies area, study areas that you can book, being an individual or a group, and then that social event that we have as well. So my colleague Danielle, she'll talk about our B programme, and that ties into all our social events. So for check-in, we'll have a huge event for the weekend. It's incredibly busy. It's incredibly fun. Lots of music, food, and soft drinks. So it's a full experience for everyone that's coming in during check-in. And then things like the World Cup, the Rugby World Cup coming up, that's going to be another big event for us that will have many events on through each of those games, and we can utilise our cinema room here in Benson Yard and hopefully get some stuff on the screen for them. In terms of the actual sales process, for virtual and physical viewings, we can do a video tour for you, or if you're close by, you're more than welcome to pop in and we can actually go and show you one of our show flats. The social areas mentioned before have a wide variety of amenities, such as pool, such as table tennis, foosball, air hockey as well. And then just finishing on the residents team, our focus has always been our students, and it's our people that connect with those students that we really place a lot of value and focus on. And we try to create a sense of community through open communication and making sure that everyone is included as much as we can. The last thing there is the Be Wellbeing programme. My colleague Danielle, who I'm going to hand over to, she will then go through our B programme for you.
Hi, everyone. As Scott mentioned, I'm Danielle. I'm another general manager that works for Fresh. I'm based in Newcastle upon Tyne. Just a little bit about our little microclimate. There are 2 Fresh sites in Newcastle. Mine is one of them, which is Roman House, and then we also have the Shield. I'm going to be walking you through the Be Wellbeing program today, which is our award-winning wellness program that we offer to all of our residents, and a couple of other aspects about living with Fresh too. So the Be Wellbeing program is an all-inclusive resident lifestyle and wellbeing program. It was created specifically to enhance our residents' experiences, keep them engaged throughout their entire time with us. We're very passionate and very proud about our program, and we're continually evolving to ensure that the residents remain at the heart of this program. We created it to bring residents together, to provide them with a sense of belonging, feel connected, promote inclusivity, and to provide a hub of resources for whatever life throws at you. On the screen right now, you can see we have 4 key pillars. These are the pillars in which the Be program is built around. So the first one, Be Active, pretty much what it says on the tin. This is where we focus on keeping our residents active and energized physically and mentally throughout their stay with us. It can include things like fitness challenges in our gyms, drinking the right amount of water, or offering, fruit and veggies as a freebie Friday session instead of an unhealthier treat. The second pillar is our Be Connected pillar, and this is where we create opportunities for all of our residents to get to know their housemates, other residents around the building, not to mention us, their resident teams too. From this section, we can also promote ordinary residents into a role called the student ambassadors, and they will work closely with the students, ascertaining what the students want, what they feel they could be, and what we can improve on, as well as working with us to actually produce all of these wonderful events on all of our sites. The third pillar is our Be Social pillar, and this is where we provide the opportunities for all of the residents to stay social, whether that be online, in person. It helps to build our community, enhance our home from home feeling all year round. The final pillar is probably one of our most important pillars, and it's our Be Supported pillar. This is where all of our residents are provided with support that they need, whether it be a one-to-one chat, just if they're feeling homesick, or something a little bit more serious, or just simply providing them with resources to support their mental health and their well-being. A lot of students struggle their first time away from home in a new city, so it's really important that we nurture these students to ensure that they're getting the most out of it and feel supported. Scott touched briefly on being mental health trained. With Fresh, every single one of our general managers and some of the other site members are mental health first aiders. So we have a wealth of knowledge surrounding mental health and other aspects of well-being. And we will always try and go the extra mile when it comes to supporting our students. Up on screen now, you can see a copy of our upcoming social calendar. This is a collaborative calendar that is created with our Be Wellbeing champions, who are general managers, resident advisors throughout all of our sites that come together. They look at what we've done in the past, what's worked well, and look at what we can do for the upcoming years ahead. This calendar is then distributed to all of our properties. Each month has a specific theme, as you can see right now, and they're all very varied, but we don't all have to do the same events. So we get incredibly creative, and these events run all year round. It could be a little event or a really big blowout. Like Scott said, September is always a really big one. When we have all of our students arrive, we always have like a really good welcome event on check-in. You can get as involved as much or as little as you like. It's totally based on personal taste. Some residents who enjoy more of an active lifestyle might engage more with the Be Active pillar events, such as the Fresh Adventure, which is taking place for us in July of next year. Whereas other students might be more social, and they might get involved with events such as Love Local or Fresh Giving Back, where we interact with the local communities too. So based on that, the site teams also forge and maintain relationships with local businesses, communities, charities, and we utilize these relationships to enhance the events and build a stronger community, not just within our building, but within our local cities. And there really is something for everyone. So when you live with Fresh, we pride ourselves on being inclusive and diverse. Scott touched recently on some of the other events that we can host in some of our social spaces, whether that be a private party that the students are booking out themselves, or something that we're hosting too. We add various different celebrations and multicultural events all year round, such as the Lunar New Year, Diwali, Thanksgiving. I fully recommend checking out our social media pages if you haven't done so already, and have a look at some of the examples that our sites have hosted in the last 12 months alone. It's outstanding. Many of our sites have multilingual teams too, so that, you know, just enhances that experience that you're having, especially if you are coming from an overseas country. We build our events around what our residents want to see. We have feedback sessions throughout the year to make sure that we're giving the best experiences and that we're not missing out on something that could enhance someone's experience with us, and make sure that we are being as inclusive as we possibly can. Some of the local relationships that we've forged here in Newcastle are with varying food markets that specialize in Asian cuisine, and things like bubble tea vendors, which is always a humongous hit. And that just helps to bring in some more engagement from residents from around the world. I'm now going to briefly discuss the alternative accommodation options that we offer to our postgraduate and young professionals who might want to still stay with Fresh, but are looking for something a little bit more mature without venturing into letting agencies or private landlords. This is, of course, our build to rent and our co-live rentals. Thanks, Scott. The build to rent and the co-living rental options are available in central locations within the UK, 3 of which are mentioned up on screen right now. So we've got Cardiff, Exeter, and Sheffield. You can rent an apartment in a similar fashion to the purpose-built student accommodations that Scott and I run, but with a more mature setting, with more flexibilities. For example, you can have shorter leases. So instead of doing a full year, you could do 6 months. The option to have pets on some of our sites is also available too, and possible family options too. So if you're a married couple or you have children, there are also options available to you at that point as well. They're ideal for postgraduate students and young professionals to live in a fully managed apartment with the fun and without some of the stresses that can come with private renting. We've highlighted 3 of our stunning build to rent and co-live buildings up on screen for you right now. They're offered around the country. So the first one is Loxley Heights in Sheffield. The second is Verse in Cardiff. This one is brand new from the summer of 2023. And then finally, The Gorge in Exeter. These images demonstrate just how beautifully decorated some of the interiors in our social spaces are, then leading on to the beautiful furnished apartments. They offer fantastic amenities, just like the student buildings do. So, for example, we've got sky lounges, outdoor grilling areas, gyms, cinemas, and so much more. Of course, it wouldn't be Fresh if we didn't have our amazing well-being and lifestyle programs here too. We offer our Belong resident club to anyone who lives with us in one of our build to rent or co-living properties. So you won't miss out on a single thing. Not one of our events you'll miss out on, and you'll be at the heart of everything. There are 4 key categories under Belong, just as there are with the Be Wellbeing. The first is You Belong, which is helping our residents lead happier and healthier lifestyles. Then Belong at Home, creating a safe and comfortable place for our residents. Belong in the Neighborhood, supporting local and giving back through volunteering. Then Belong Together through our unique social clubs and events. So that concludes our presentation for us today. We would like to open up the forum for any Q&As, and then we'll share our social media handles for you at the end. So follow us.
Great presentation. It's always, especially with you guys fresh, it's always a really good presentation to see the Be Wellbeing program. You know, to see the build to rent, it's always great. It's unique to you guys, which is great. So one of the questions I want to start with, really, and it's not really been touched upon really, is the cities that you guys are both based in, Newcastle and Liverpool. I'll start with Liverpool because there's one more in there mainly. What universities are the buildings close to? Because, you know, if a student's looking to come to Liverpool John Moore Uni, is it close, or is it closer to Hope? Is it closer to Liverpool Uni itself? How does a student distinguish what's close and what's not?
It's a good question. Luckily, all 4 sites are relatively close together, and we're all located in the city centre. So all the universities, specifically, if we're going to talk about my site, which is Benson Yard, are within a 10-minute walking distance. So obviously, with being a city that's heavily populated, they have many buildings that are dotted around the city itself. You'll have the very odd occasional building that is maybe out on a different campus, but the vast majority of the buildings and the courses that they need are within a 10-minute walking distance. We're 8 minutes away from Lime Street Station, and about 8 minutes away from Central as well. So in terms of location and what they need that is right on their doorstep, many of these sites where they have multiple sites in those cities, they're all centrally located, and the vast majority will be within walking distance of their university.
Excellent. Important to know as well, especially in Liverpool. Obviously, you've got Liverpool Tropical School of Medicine, you've got other small universities, diploma type of courses that would be appropriate that if you're an international student, you're looking to come and study. And Danielle from Hanover Square in Newcastle, you know, is it close to both Northumbria and Newcastle Uni if students are looking to study there?
Yeah, absolutely. So as mentioned, we have 2 sites here in Newcastle, myself and the Shield. The Shield is closer to Northumbria Business School, but we're both generally around 10 to 15 minutes walk away from both Newcastle and Northumbria universities. For my site specifically, I am less than a 3-minute walk away from Newcastle Central Station. So we find that not only do we have residents coming to stay with us from our local feeder universities, but we also have them coming from neighbouring cities as well, such as Durham University and Sunderland University, which are both either a 20-minute train journey. But because we're on the doorstep of the train station, we have amazing transport links. So we have a metro system similar to, you know, Liverpool. I know they have a metro system too, but our metro literally takes you to like 2 seconds away from campus as well. So if you can literally roll out of bed onto a metro and you'll be at uni within less than 5 minutes. For my site specifically, Newcastle, whilst it's quite a dense city centre, everything's very close together. We're far enough away from all the hustle and the bustle. Newcastle has a reputation for its friendly nightlife. We're a little bit farther away from that, so it's not right on your doorstep, but they're close enough to local amenities, cinemas, bars, restaurants, everything. But in terms of the universities, again, we've got campuses all over the city. It just depends which campus they're staying at, really.
Well, your properties are chosen specifically for where they are. I think I've spoken to many of your team members before where they say, you know, we carefully research where the properties are going to be so that, like you said, students can stereotypically roll out of bed and just go straight to their courses. But we've all been there, we've all done it. That's what we all like. So one of the questions that have come in is whether or not they have any home for rent or lease properties in Clapham. I suppose it probably depends on what university they're attending or looking to attend. But have you got any options in that kind of South London region?
Yes, it's not specifically my region. I'm based in the northwest, but in terms of the south region, I think across the whole region there's 25 properties, with several of them being in London itself. So yes, absolutely, we would have sites in and around that area. Forgive me, I don't have the information to hand.
Yeah, of course, yeah. And talk to me about the funding side of things, because cost of living crisis is difficult. I think everyone's feeling the pinch, and understandably no more than students. How can students go about ensuring that if they are having a bit of a rough time and things are very difficult, maintaining payments, or at the start and they're struggling, that Be Wellbeing program is there, yes, but is there a network that they can talk to people, campus managers or accommodation managers, that they can reach out to and feel like they mean something?
Absolutely. So one of the biggest things that myself and my team promote is very much an open door policy. Now, to start with, in terms of logistics, in terms of the tenancy, in general, our tenancies fall, their instalment dates tend to coincide with when they get a lot of them get their student loans. So as soon as that student loan comes in, it's in and around the date that the rent is due, and it's simply a case of paying it. Obviously, some people run into difficulty, like you say, the cost of living crisis. I think it's affected us all in various ways. However, that open door policy that we promote is, we try to make it as evident and as clear as possible from the minute they walk through the door to the minute they leave, is that we are very much open to having a discussion if people are running into any kind of difficulty. One of the worst things people can do is bury their head in the sand. If they come and speak to us, it's well within our interest to make sure that we can help these tenants and provide any support that they need, whether that be a discussion to their guarantor, whether that be sitting down and looking how to get them back on track. But obviously, everything is rolled into one payment with us. So there's no extra bills to have a surprise with. And hopefully our clear and concise tenancies and the fact that we talk about it the minute they walk in the door can help them budget and accordingly pool all their money into the right place. But yeah, we absolutely promote coming to speak to us, and we have sessions through the week where it's literally an open door where they can pop in and you can list any issues that you've got, ranging from tenancies, ranging from universities, ranging from the social aspect of it. But yeah, we very much have an open door policy when it comes to managing that side of it.
Absolutely. And Danielle, I want to
just to touch on that a little bit as well.
Yeah, go on.
I was just going to say what we like to do as well. I'm not sure if other sites do it, but I'm pretty sure they will. When we have our welcome packs created for all of our new residents, we include liaison officers for both of the universities to provide additional support. So if they're struggling with something and they don't want to come to me or one of my team about it, they can have that same private open communication with the university as well. If the university have any concerns, they'll often come to us as well and just say, we're a little bit concerned about this person's welfare. Can we just do some welfare checks, which we have done in the past, not just on behalf of the university, but parents as well. Sometimes it's hard for the parents if they know that their child is suffering and the resident team aren't aware of it. Sometimes we'll get calls from parents as well. So it's not just about having the open communication with the residents themselves, but it's about their immediate network too, and making sure that the parents know that they can talk to us as well if the child doesn't feel like they can, so that at least we're all aware and we're helping each other.
Yeah, I think that's so important as well, that, these are young people. Everyone watching, like they're young people, they're fairly inexperienced. They haven't got the most life experience when it comes to handling tough situations. So if you were to go through an independent letting agent or anyone like that, you don't get that same kind of service that Danielle's just mentioned and Scott have mentioned. So worth mentioning. I also, while we're on that topic as well of, feeling welcomed and feeling part of the city, obviously they're both very cosmopolitan, very multicultural city, which is wonderful. But how many international students, let's start with you, Danielle, because obviously it's more of an established building in Newcastle. How many international students are there, and what kind of backgrounds are they from? Are they all various different types of cultures and backgrounds, or is there a predominant one?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So every site is very different. The two sites that we have in Newcastle are very different. So for my site, for example, I have predominantly domestic students. Probably about 75% of my residencies over the last 5 years have been from more of a local area. I've got people coming from the UK in various different cities, all coming up to Newcastle. And then the remaining 25% of my building is split across international students, and it's not dominated by one specific culture or one specific country. I've got Asian students from varying areas. So I've got Japanese, Chinese, Indonesian, Thailand. I've got Indian students, and then I've got a lot of European students as well. So we get quite a few students from Greece, Cyprus, Italy, Spain, France. The list is endless. I could go on. But the Shield, in comparison, they have double the amount of beds that I have, and they have a much larger Chinese populace compared to myself. So there are a lot of varying cultures, just in terms of the trends. In the last 2 to 3 years, I have seen a larger number of Indian, Pakistani students coming into the Northeast, which is great. It creates a whole new level of diversity within our buildings, and we get to, incorporate their lifestyles into ours a little bit more, and it does make it feel amazing at site.
Yeah. And Scott, from a Liverpool perspective, from the Benson Yard, obviously for you it's quite a relatively new building. So in terms of numbers, how they're looking for next year, split between domestic and international, is there a strong non-UK cohort there?
There is, yes. As it stands, we're roughly about 50% international and 50 UK. The city itself is very, very diverse. As you can probably tell by the accent, I'm not from Liverpool myself. I'm from north of the border. And coming down here, it's not my accent that only stands out. There is a wide variety of cultures and religions, and it's quite a very, very diverse city. So that is reflected so far, as we can see, in our building as well, that the demographics are quite widespread. So Danielle mentioned that some of the countries that they've got students from, we're the exact same. The other sites in Liverpool are very similar. One, which is Calico, is heavily Asian dominated, but again, very, very different countries over in Asia: Japan, China, Thailand, Vietnam. So again, a wide variety at our site, and a lot of our sites are very similar. And as Danielle mentioned, the ability to then pull events and put them on for these people just brings a totally different and unique experience for other tenants, and it's so greatly received across the board.
I think it's important to mention as well, just to elaborate further on that, your presentation, you mentioned the Be Well or the Be calendar. That obviously mentions all the different cultural events that you celebrate, and you make people feel part of a team. And in the social spaces, there's always things going on. So all these things contribute towards feeling welcomed and having a great time while you're studying, which is the most important thing. You want to feel safe, but you also want to feel like you're part of a home, if you like, which is great. So I want to finish on something. We've touched on it already about locations, and I get that obviously you guys in Newcastle and Liverpool respectively, but the locations that you guys are based in the UK, because you are literally littered everywhere, which is a great thing. It means no matter what uni you go to in the UK, major uni, there's probably an option for you. How would a student go about finding out where they can go and what options there are, and how would they go about finding out more information if they wanted to?
Yeah, they would head to our website. So thisisfresh.com. On the very first landing page, when you head to our website, you'll see a little drop down that asks you what city you're planning on studying in. And then that will then filter all of our 60 sites into that small microclimate, and it will show you what accommodations we have in those cities. And then based on that, you can then look at the maps provided and show, determine which one is the right fit for you. You can do, I know Scott mentioned, you can do virtual or in-person viewings. You could view, if there's 4, for example, you could view all 4 in one day if you really wanted to really get a feel for that building and determine if that's going to be the right choice for you.
Yeah, Scott, just to elaborate further on that as well, because obviously you've got quite a few unis and establishments within the city and on the outskirts of the city. What would you say are the most important things to do for a student when they're making their choice and they're making their mind up as to what they want to do over the next, 6 to 12 months?
When we do a viewing, we really try to tailor what we have to fit our prospective tenants' needs. So trying your best to have a clear understanding of what it is that you really want from one of our accommodations is a massive help for us, because then we can obviously show you everything that we can do to accommodate that. So having a really understanding in terms of, is it location, is it price, is it amenities, or is it that sense of community and belonging somewhere? A real understanding of what our tenant desires allows us to really tailor what we actually offer to them. So, for example, if it is location, then all 4 probably fit the bill in Liverpool. If it's a sense of being literally 30 seconds away from the train station, then it's the Lantern, because they're right next to Lime Street. If it's a case of a sense of well-being in terms of being around other Asian students, Calico is massively heavily dominated with the Asian community. Here we have a wide variety of events going on. We're a relatively new building, so in terms of our events, we've started to cater for all. So having a really good understanding of what it is exactly that you need and require from your accommodation will help us allow to tailor our what we offer to suit you.
Excellent. Scott, Danielle, thank you for your time. Really appreciate that. It's been a great session. If anyone's missed any parts of this session, there's been a couple of questions coming around Clapham Junction being one, and there's been a couple on social media as well around personal circumstances. We will come back to you. Fresh, I've got your details. Whether it's Scott, Danielle, or a member of the team, we will reach out. You've got my word. And if you're watching on demand and you've got any questions and you want to reach out, it's Gareth@postgradsolutions.com and we'll forward on your message. But for now, a huge thank you. Danielle Scott, thanks for your time there. Really appreciate that. We look forward to working with you again soon. Thank you.